Good evening. In the fifth parak of Pirkei Avot, our sages teach us that Avram Avinu was tested with 10 tests. Many commentators understand these 10 tests conclude at the end of last week's Parsha with the binding of Isaac, Chayei Yitzchak. However, the Rabbeinu Yonah, in his commentary on Pirkei Avot, says, no, that was the 9th test. The 10th and final test comes in this week's Parsha, when Sarah dies, and Avraham, despite being promised in Parshat Lech Lecha to walk the length and the breadth of Eretz Yisrael, and Hashem tells him, for I will give that to you, when he comes to time to bury his wife, he cannot find a place to bury her until he has to purchase a burial plot from Ephron HaChiti. And says the Rabbeinu Yonah, Avraham doesn't question God. He doesn't get upset. He doesn't say, how could it possibly be? You're going to give me Eretz Yisrael and I can't even bury my wife. I can't even have a burial plot. What's wrong with this? Avraham does not do this. This is very much like an earlier test, says Rabbeinu Yonah, when Avraham is promised he'll be blessed, and yet when he arrives in Eretz Yisrael, there's a famine and he has to flee. There as well, Avraham does not question Hashem, and he passes this test as well. So what is the difference between the earlier test of arriving in Eretz Yisrael, having been promised to be blessed, and yet there being a famine, and Avraham not questioning God, not getting upset, and this last test where he's promised Eretz Yisrael, and yet he doesn't have a place to bury Sarah? So I think there may be one major difference, and why this test is even harder than the earlier one. And that is because after all that Avraham has gone through, particularly the Chayei Yitzchak last week, it would be the most natural thing in the world for Avram to feel a sense of entitlement. Magia li, look all that I've done for you, Hashem, and I can't even bury Sarah here in Eretz Yisrael. But he doesn't feel this way. He's humble. He recognizes, well, that the promise of Eretz Yisrael will come true, that at this very moment, Hashem doesn't owe him anything. And I think for all of us, we strive so hard, we do mitzvot, we do good things, we do masim tovim. It's easy to feel sometimes, maybe Hashem owes me. Maybe he owes us. And yet we can't feel this way. We need to go through life humbly, thanking Hashem for all the goodness that we receive, and beseeching HaKadosh Baruch Hu for his goodness from a place of humbleness, a place of not feeling that we're entitled, that we're owed anything, like a poor person knocking at the door. This is what Avraham teaches us. No matter what we've accomplished, we should never have a sense of entitlement. We should never feel like Hashem's blessings he's required to give them to us. Rather, we should always ask for them with a sense of gratitude and a sense that recognition that nothing is guaranteed in this world, and that we must be very humble in beseeching Hashem for his help. Wish everyone a Shabbat Shalom.